New coronavirus. First, we must stop the disease spreading to a point where it overwhelms our NHS. And every country in the world has the same problem. This is a disease that is so dangerous and so infectious that without drastic measures to check its progress, it would overwhelm any health system in the world. And I've used the Italian health system. It is excellent. And the problem is not with the health systems, it's the numbers of sufferers. That's why we announced the steps yesterday that we did, advising against all unnecessary contact, steps that are unprecedented since World War II. They will have an effect on the spread of the disease. The shielding of vulnerable groups will also reduce suffering, and I want to thank everybody at this stage for what we're all doing to follow this advice. I stress that although the measures announced are already extreme, we may well have to go further and faster in the coming days to protect lives and the NHS. Secondly, we're doing all we can and as quickly as we can to increase the capacity of the NHS. That means more testing, more beds, more ventilators and more trained staff. It means greater support for NHS and other staff. And it means much better data and much better technology. Third, we must do all we can to boost science and research. We must study this disease, test drugs that already exist and have been through medical trials to see what helps treat severe cases and search for a vaccine. Fourth, we must act like any wartime government and do whatever it takes to support our economy. And that's the main purpose of this press conference this afternoon. We must support millions of businesses and tens of millions of families and individuals through the coming months. And to do that, the government machine must and will respond with a profound sense of urgency. Thousands of brilliant officials are already working round the clock, but we must do more and faster. The Chancellor will be saying much more about this in a moment, with further announcements in the coming days. Fifth, we will need to strengthen other public services that will be under great pressure from the direct and indirect effects of the disease, such as the effects of staff shortages and from the economic pressures. All institutions will be under great pressure, and we will therefore invest hugely in the people that we all rely on. And again, I want to thank all our public servants for what they are already doing. Ultimately, to beat this crisis, we will need a combination of better science, technology, medicine, data, government, operations, economic support, learning from other countries, and social support. As time goes on, we will learn more and more about the disease and the effects of our actions. And while we need national unity, we also need international cooperation. And although we now need to impose physical distance between ourselves, we must at the same time have closer social support for each other. Yes, this enemy can be deadly, but it is also beatable. And we know how to beat it, and we know that if, as a country, we follow the scientific advice that is now being given, we know that we will beat it.
And if they know how to beat it,
however tough the months,
they should have fucking
we have the
helped them people who've already died.
The resources to win the fight. And to repeat, this government will do whatever it takes. I'll now hand over for more on that to Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Good afternoon, everybody. The coronavirus pandemic is a public health emergency, but it is also an economic emergency. We have never in peacetime faced an economic fight like this one. I know that people are deeply worried. I know that people's anxiety about the disease itself is matched only by their anxiety about their livelihoods. Last week, I set out an initial economic response in the budget. I promised to do whatever it takes to support our economy through this crisis, and that if the situation changed, I would not hesitate to take further action. And that is what I want to begin doing today. This struggle will not be overcome by a single package of measures or isolated interventions. It will be won through a collective national effort. Every one of us doing all we can to protect family, neighbours, friends, jobs. This national effort will be underpinned by government interventions in the economy on a scale unimaginable only a few weeks ago. This is not a time for ideology and orthodoxy. This is a time to be bold, a time for courage. I want to reassure every British citizen, this government will give you all the tools you need to get through this. We will support jobs. We will support incomes. We will support businesses. And we will help you protect your loved ones. We will do whatever it takes. In the budget last week, I set out the first stage of our economic response with a £30 billion package of support for people and businesses. But I also said in the budget that as the situation evolves, we would take further action. And as the Prime Minister set out yesterday, we're now approaching the fast growth part of the upwards curve. He has set out the next stage of our public health response, and so I now wanted to update everyone on the next stage of our economic response. First, the government will stand behind businesses, small and large. I can announce today an unprecedented package of government-backed and guaranteed loans to support business to get through this. Today, I am making available an initial £330 billion of guarantees, equivalent to 15% of our GDP. That means any business who needs access to cash to pay their rent, their salaries, suppliers, or purchase stock will be able to access a government-backed loan or credit on attractive terms. And if demand is greater than the initial £330 billion I'm making available today, I will go further and provide as much capacity as required. I said whatever it takes, and I meant it. That support will be delivered through two main schemes. To support liquidity amongst larger firms, I have today agreed a new lending facility with the Governor of the Bank of England to provide low-cost, easily accessible commercial paper. To support lending to small and medium-sized businesses, I'm extending the new business interruption loan scheme I announced at budget last week, so that rather than loans of £1.2 million, it will now provide loans of up to £5 million with no interest due for the first 6 months. Both of these schemes will be up and running by the start.
What about these people who are on have businesses?
A new legal
on benefits. What are you going to do?
To offer whatever further financial support I decide is necessary. Some sectors are facing particularly acute challenges. In the coming days, my colleague, the Secretary of State for Transport, and I will discuss a potential support package specifically for airlines and airports.
I think they need to stop the fucking airlines and airports.
I asked my cabinet colleagues to urgently convene meetings over the coming days with business leaders and representatives in the most affected sectors to identify other specific opportunities to support them and their industries, including possible regulatory forbearance. I repeat, we will do whatever it takes. Second, as well as access to finance, businesses need support with their cash flow and fixed costs. Following the changed medical advice yesterday, there are concerns about the impact on pubs, clubs, theatres, and other hospitality, leisure, and retail venues. Let me confirm that for those businesses which do have a policy for insurance that covers pandemics, that the government's action is sufficient and will allow businesses to make an insurance claim against their policy. But many of those businesses don't have insurance, so we will need to do more. I announced last week that for businesses in the retail, hospitality and leisure sectors with a rateable value of less than £51,000, they will pay no business rates this year. Today, I can go further and provide those businesses in those sectors with an additional cash grant of up to £25,000 per business to help bridge through this period. Additionally, I am also extending today the business rates holiday.
All about for fucking businesses. What about people who haven't got their own business? Do you know what I mean? It's terrible.
Value. That means every single shop, pub, theatre, music venue, restaurant, and any other business in the retail, hospitality, or leisure sector will pay no business rates whatsoever for 12 months. And if they have a rateable value of less than £51,000, they can also now get a cash grant as well. I also announced last week that we would be providing £3,000 cash grants to the 700,000 of our smallest businesses. In light of the new circumstances and to support their cash flow, today I can increase those cash grants to £10,000. Taken together, on top of the unlimited lending capacity I've already announced, this is a package of direct support to businesses through tax cuts and grants in this financial year worth more than £20 billion. And that comes on top of the existing multi-billion-pound package I set out at budget, which included reimbursing small and medium-sized companies for the cost of statutory sick pay. Local authorities will be fully compensated for the cost of these measures, and the devolved administrations will receive at least £3.5 billion in additional funding as a result of these measures to provide support to businesses in Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. I repeat again, we will do whatever
it's all for the businesses, so what about the people who are on in that situation, do you know what I mean, and don't have jobs or have their own business?
At budget last week, I committed £1 billion to support the financial security of vulnerable people through a £500 million boost to the welfare system and a £500 million hardship fund for local authorities. Following discussions with the industry today, I can announce that for those in difficulty due to coronavirus, mortgage lenders will now offer a 3-month mortgage holiday so that people will not have to pay a penny towards their mortgage costs while they get back on their feet. And in the coming days, I will go much further to support people's financial security. In particular, I will work with trade unions and business groups to urgently develop new forms of employment support to help protect people's jobs and their incomes through this period. As I said last week, this is first and foremost a public health emergency, and I reiterate today our commitment that whatever resources the NHS needs, it will get. Let no one doubt our resolve. When I said in the budget that we will do everything we can to keep this country and our people healthy and financially secure, I meant it. The measures I've announced today are part of a comprehensive, coordinated and coherent response to what is a serious and evolving economic situation. These are only the first steps. I will set out the next stage of our response in the coming days. We have never faced an economic fight like this one, but we are well prepared. We will get through this, and we will do whatever it takes. Thank you.